Good evening. You're watching the 7 o'clock English news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. Duqm Port upgrades the operation process to handle 1.5 million standard containers with inauguration of the second phase by the end of this year. The Minister of Finance affirms the readiness of the electronic system for excise tax starting from June 5th. And the G20 finance ministers and the central bank governors in Japan say they are concerned over the risk from an intensified trade conflicts. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cable of condolences to His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Jabir Al-Sabah, Emir of Kuwait, on the death of the mother of His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mubarak Al-Sabah, Chairman of the Council of Ministers of Kuwait. His Majesty the Sultan sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Dr. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa of Portugal on his country's National Day. Duqm Special Economic Zone is expected to complete the second phase of Duqm Port by the end of the current year or in the beginning of 2020. The Duqm Port Company affirmed that the current capacity for early operation processes at container station at the port reached 200,000 containers, and operating the second phase, the capacity will increase to 1.5 million containers. It is expected that the commercial use percentages of the port will be increased by the start of the implementing mega projects. The Minister of Finance stressed the readiness of the electronic system for registration of taxpayers subject to excise tax, which will be implemented starting from June 15th. The Ministry drafted the legislative requirements, which is expected to be issued within a short time, pointing out that the completion of remaining procedures for automated link with relevant government agencies or to activate the system in a timely manner according to the target timeline. The working group concerned with the implementation of the excise tax has prepared a guide to explain the implementation processes and procedures for taxpayers. The Minister of Commerce and Industry stopped 100 foreign investment companies due to lack of adherence of the foreign investment law until they organize their status. The Minister stated that it is visiting the companies to check the types of work and activities of these companies, as well as organizing the labor market and monitor limited liability companies subject to foreign investment law with regard to applying regulation applicable in the Sultanate. The Ministry stressed that during the last period, it worked to facilitate the procedures to register the companies and to get the activities clearances through Easy Invest portal, in addition to linking a number of government bodies with the system. A group of 20 finance leaders today said that trade and geopolitical tensions have intensified, raising risks to improving global growth, but they stopped short of calling for a resolution for a deepening US-China trade conflict. After furious negotiations, the finance ministers and central bank governors meeting in Seoul in Japan repeated tepid support for a rules-based multilateral trading system. The G20 finance leaders said as the meetings in Fukuoka closed that global growth appears to be stabilizing and is generally projected to pick up moderately later this year and into 2020. They had agreed to compile common rules by 2020 to close loopholes used by global tech giants such as Facebook and Google to reduce their corporate taxes. The communique also contained pledges to increase debt transparency on the part of borrowers and creditors Another priority is sustainable infrastructure development, an issue brought into sharper focus by concerns that China's massive Belt and Road infrastructure drive was saddling poor countries with debt they can't repay. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said today, ahead of a visit by the German counterpart Heiko Maas, that European countries are in no position to criticize Iran. Germany's top diplomat is due in Tehran tomorrow against a backdrop of Iranian pressure for Europe to uphold commitments made under a 2015 JCPOA nuclear deal since abandoned by the United States. Iran signed the landmark accord with China, Russia, Germany, Britain, France and the United States, leading to sanctions relief in exchange for Tehran curbing its nuclear program. But last year, US President Donald Trump walked away from the accord, and Washington has since imposed sweeping sanctions on Iran. Zarif said European and Western policies have only caused damage in the region. He added that Europeans have a duty to ensure that Iran's economic relations return to normal. On Friday, Iran rejected the idea mooted by France to reopen nuclear talks, warning that seeking to broaden the existing agreement could lead to its collapse. Voters in Kazakhstan began casting their ballots today to choose a successor to the president who had led the Central Asian country since independence from the Soviet Union. The snap election was called after Nursultan Nazarbayev's unexpected resignation in March. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, who became acting president, is seen as certain to beat 6 other candidates. Still to come, a news bulletin. In order to encourage students to memorize the Holy Quran, Bukha Club organized the Holy Quran memorization competition.
بادر بقيد اسمك في السجل الانتخابي. تسجيلك حق وصوتك أمانة. انتخابات أعضاء مجلس الشورى للفترة التاسعة. مع تحيات وزارة الداخلية.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Back here in the Sultanate, the owners of small and medium-sized enterprises, home businesses and supported bodies continue registration in Entrepreneurship Award in its 4th version. The registration will continue until 22nd of August by the awards website. Registered businesses will be competed on 15 awards divided into 2 categories, Entrepreneurship Award and Supported Bodies Award. The participants of the 4th version of the award will be competed for Best Entrepreneur Award, Best Home Business Award, Best Startup Enterprises Award, Best Small Enterprise Award and Best Medium Enterprise Award. The analysis of the activities of conventional banks pointing out an increase in the outstanding credit by 4% annually by the end of March 2019. Meanwhile, the credit granted to the private sector recorded an increase by 2% to reach 18.9 billion Omani riyals in the same period. The Central Bank of Oman pointed out that conventional banks' overall investments in securities rose by 5.6% to reach 3.4 billion Omani riyals by the end of March 2019. The completion percentage of the works of Misfat al-Abriyin development project in the Wilayat al-Hamra reached more than 40%. The project includes renovation of a number of old facilities and development of new ones so as to contribute in enhancing the touristic aspects of the area. The project works including parking lots, restaurants and service facilities for visitors. It is expected to be completed by the last quarter of the current year. In order to encourage students to memorize the Holy Quran, Bukha Club in the Governorate of Sandam organized the Holy Quran memorization competition for the second consecutive year. The competition included 4 levels and the number of participants reached more than 50. It was accompanied by a number of activities and witnessed a wide participation from the members of the community. The competition is aimed to encourage the children to memorize and recite the Holy Quran as well as follow its teachings. The 3 days of Eid al-Fitr in Oman witnessed fabulous traditional celebrations across the Sultanate, and going around was Abdullah Rubay, and he's got this report for us.
Throughout the 3 days of Eid al-Fitr, people in Oman celebrated this special occasion to all Muslims around the world with joy and happiness, thanking the Almighty Allah for giving them opportunity to fast the month of Ramadan and to develop and deepen bonds and brotherhood in the society. The celebrations in the Sultanate witnessed fabulous traditional performances. In Sohar, an artistic and entertainment atmosphere of rejoicing Eid al-Fitr organized by the citizens in front of the historical Sohar fort. It included a number of activities such as traditional singing art and other horse shows, including recitation of poems.
حتى أتى قابوس حسبك أنه شملت فضائله لكل عمان. يا كاتب التاريخ دون حاضرا بنيت ركائزه على الإنسان، فإذا تعاظم في الأنام شقاقهم كاد التسامح أن يكون عماني.
The events express love and loyalty for His Majesty Sultan Qaboos and the happiness of the Eid days.
We consider the Eid as 2 Eids here in Sohar. One is by completing the holy month of Ramadan, and the second is by the presence of His Majesty here in the city. We were having so many activities such as the show of the Arabic horses and the traditional dances, and one of them also is by reciting the poems. And I recite my poems last night on the hall of Sultan Qaboos Mosque. And I was saying فإذا ابن سلطان تعاظم مجده واستعملت لعمان عاصمتان لتراقصت فرط الهيام جوادر وسهول منباسة على الشطآن وتخالطت كل الدماء بمطرح وتعايشت بسماحة وأمان.
The poem here talks about the great history on Oman and historical coexistence with other nations.
I wish you all a very good Eid, and this Eid is celebrated by everyone in the world for the breaking fast after the holy month of Ramadan. And here in Oman, especially in Sohar, people are celebrating the 2 Eids of the breaking fast and the welcoming of His Majesty the Sultan. And I've come here to greet the ancestors of our Sohar city.
From this historical and beautiful castle here in Sohar, where a number of Eid activities took place, I'm Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Sohar.
For the general forecast around the Sultanate, clear skies will prevail over most of the governorates, with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the coasts of Al-Wusta Governorate. Cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall is expected over the Hajar Mountains. Winds will be northwesterly light to moderate and seas will slide to the maximum wave height of 1 meter. You're watching the Sultan of Oman television. Before in tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Dukum Port upgrades its operation processes to handle 1.5 million standard containers with inauguration of the second phase by the end of this year. The Minister of Finance affirms the readiness of electronic system for excise tax starting from June 15. And the G20 finance ministers and the central bank governors in Japan say they are concerned of the risks of intensified trade conflict. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin from Bulletin, the newsroom and the studios. Thanks for watching. Good night.